Hey guys, how's it going? If you want to know how to mix multitracks that sound like this, and to make them sound something like this, then stay with me and I'm going to show you what I did with this mix. Let's go. Alright, so here we are in Reaper, and this is the session I was working on. By the way, I am going to put the link down below for the multitracks, so you can download them for free. There is no email list you have to sign up for or anything. Just download them and you can mix the song by yourself. Okay, so as you can see, we have quite a few tracks, 44 tracks to be precise. It includes the FX and the bass tracks as well. So when you look at the mix, the session, it looks pretty organized, right? Especially compared to the original one. So when you download the multitracks and you're going to transport them to Reaper, your session is going to look something like this. It's just not edited, not organized, and you can see the volume difference between the tracks. It's quite, huge. So this is the first issue we have to kind of deal with. So what I usually do when I open the multitracks, of course, I listen to them and to see if the audio is, well recorded, which means there is no unwanted distortion, there is no clipping, so I'm ready to mix. And then I do this so-called fader mix, which basically just, gain staging, that balancing out the levels, for the individual tracks. So like a guitar is not overpowering the vocals, the bass is not overpowering the drums, or vice versa. Just get a nice balance without any plugins, just with the volume levels. And then you can do the panning. So, you can left, right, center. And then when it's done, this basic rough mix, then I'm going to start the mixing session. All right. As you can see, there was a couple, quite a few editing because it had to be done. I just cleaned up the guitars, I cleaned up the drums, and also I cleaned up the vocals. And by the way, my color coding goes like the red ones, those are the drums, and we have one bass line, which is brown, and the guitars are blue, and the green are the vocals, the vocal tracks. By the way, these green ones here, what you can see, these are just volume automation, because I did quite a few automation moves on the drums, different guitar parts and vocals, just quite standard and normal when you are mixing. All right, so I usually after the balance is done, I start with the drums, but this one was a little bit not bad. It was a bit different, let's put it this way. So just let me zoom in a little bit. So you can see we have one kick track, and we have two snare tracks. But the funny part about these snare tracks that they are actually stereo pair. So I don't know. This is how it was recorded. And the same with the overheads. Actually, there are no overheads. They labeled it as symbol 1 and symbol 2. And you can see that these tracks also stereo. So I have a pair of stereo tracks for snares and overheads. Cymbals. Because they are just cymbals. Literally. You can't hear any bleed. And the same with the snare and the kick. You can't hear any bleed. So I think it was just, recorded separately to make sure there is no any spill going into the drums, which is, I really appreciate it. It's quite a smart move. All right, so we have one bass, as it was just a DI, and we had quite a few guitar tracks. But these guitar tracks, actually, they are kind of going from very loud rhythm section to just, string creeping thingy, some ambient noise. So you will have everything that possibly can be done with a guitar in a recording session. So it's a pretty cool, practicing tool, this mix. And the vocals. We have single vocal, we have double, and we have quad, basically harmonizing vocal tracks here. So in a small package, you get a lot. And some of the, aspects of the mix might be a bit challenging for you, especially if you're just starting out the mix. But I think it's a great song to practice on. All right. So let me break it down, what I was doing with this. So as I said, I'm starting with the drums. So here we go. I have a drum bass. And on the drum bass, I opened a bass compressor. I use this one. This is by Plugin Alliance, the Townhouse bass compressor. Quite like it. So these are the settings. Usually these are my go-to settings. And just play with the threshold to get the desired, compression. And then it's going into a clipper just to clip and chop off the very pokey snare or maybe kick transient. And after it's done, I start. So basically, I open the bass compressor first before I do anything on the individual drum tracks, which means I kind of like, this kind of idea, the top-down mixing. So I mix into this bass compressor. The clipper is after I done everything, just to level things out way more and way better. So let's jump on the kick drum. On the kick drum, I use this plugin. Basically, this is a this sample player. Like you have the slate trigger. This is the same idea. Because the kick drum didn't really cut through. It was recorded, as I said, just one mic, and it was a really dark sounding kick drum. And the kick drum mic was, I don't know, maybe it's just outside of the drum kit, or they didn't cut a hole on the drum. I have no idea how it was recorded, but it was very dark, very low, heavy kick drum, so it didn't really poke through. So I had to introduce a drum sample for the click, just a little bit to, make the kick drum a bit more audible in the mix. Excuse me. And then I created a snare bass. So basically, both of my snare mics, which you remember, both of them are stereo, they are going into this bass where I can control them, the level, with one fader. And I flipped the phase because they were kind of out of phase, or polarity, to be a bit more precise. And I applied different EQs. So I chose one snare to be like the low end of my snare. So as you can see, there is no high boost, just low boost, and just cleaning up something around 500 Hertz. And on the other hand, the other snare, there is no low bump, but there is a bit of a bump around 5K. And then another EQ on the snare bass, just to balance it out, to make it pop through when you're listening in the content of the mix. And then because in this song they don't use toms, thank God, we have cymbals. So no room mics, no overheads, just cymbals. So I just opened a cymbal bus overheads. Let's just call them overheads. And I sent both of them into, but I did a little bit of a panning, as you can see here, just to separate them, because when you just keep them mono, even both of them are stereo files, they just, overlap and clash and kind of masking each other's. So I was like, okay, let's just separate them a little bit and give the overheads a bit of a width with this one. Okay. On the overheads, what I did on the overhead bus, obviously an EQ. I just wrote off everything below, 700 hertz. These are just cymbals, not overheads, so we don't have drum shells. So why should I keep the low frequencies in the cymbals, right? And then I notched quite a deep notch here, around 4K, because it was just this typical whistling sound. Yeah, it's terrible. So I had to take it, and also I had to tame it just with a half a dB, around 6K, just to pull them a little bit ease out the energy from the cymbals, and around 16K, 16.5, just to roll off, because I don't need this very high, sizzly noise from the cymbals. All right, so basically these are the toms, and after I finished with this session, I just put the flat line on it and catch the peaks. You can see quite aggressive clipping. Yeah. Okay, so bass guitar. Again, bass guitar, it's just a DI. If I bypass the plugin, it sounds like this. It's not bad for a bass DI, but you can hear it's kind of very dynamic in volume and jumping up and down. So what I did, first of all, EQ. I felt like it's a bit dull, so I boosted around 1K and a bit around 2K. And the roll off around 4 to 5K, because I don't need that very high frequencies, in the bass tracks. A bit of a cleaning around, 200-ish hertz. Felt like it was a bit overwhelmed in that area. And just pull anything down just right above the kick drum, main frequency, around 60 hertz. And you are good to go. So that is the EQ on the bass. Then I sent it to this plugin, which is basically a 1176 compressor. These are my settings. And it's like, it compresses quite heavily, around 535 dB, if I'm correct. Yeah. It goes down to 5 dB-ish, which is pretty cool. And then I put R-Bass. I just love this plugin. I know many people are, throwing shit on waves and stuff, but come on, guys. R-Bass, come on. R-Bass is it's crazy good. I just love it. So let me bypass the R-Bass and listen to the bass. And then after a few bars, I'm going to switch it on, okay? The beef just comes up. It's like, it feels like the bass guitar just grew some muscles or something. I love it. I love R-Bass. All right. After R-Bass, I put a limiter, because I always want my bass guitar to be, solid, rock solid, because this is the foundation of your mix. It shouldn't move. It should be there for to support the band. So a limiter, it's a must for me when it comes to bass guitar in a mix. All right. right, guitars. Jesus Christ, where should I start with this? Yeah, way too many, way too many. By the way, when you download the tracks, the multitracks, you are going to get an extra 4 DI tracks. So if you are not happy with the guitar sound as it is, you can just reamp the rhythm section, the rhythm guitars, the solos, they are not, and the ambient stuff, it's not, there is no DI. But for the rhythm, the chugging, you can reamp your guitars if you want. But for me, it felt like, maybe I should, but let's try to do something with it. So I didn't really want to, mess around. I just wanted to kind of challenge myself to work what I have, right? To work with what I have. So there is no extra, help from my other plugins or amp sims or whatever. Okay, so guitars. I have quite a few sends. I just forgot to mention that I'm sending the snare because, we don't have room mics. So I'm sending the snare drum into this FX track. Basically, it's a free plugin. It's a Valhalla Supermassive. And it's a free reverb and it sounds fucking good, man. I don't understand how this plugin is free. Anyway, so I'm sending the snare here, and this is the EQ after the reverb plugin. So basically just get some highs and lows out of the way. I don't want them to reverberate, if this is a word. And just clean up something around 500 Hertz, because everybody knows that 500 Hertz is rock music and metal music's enemy frequency. We just don't like it. All right, and as you can see, I send a lot of guitars into this reverb plugin, but the level is kind of different on everything. I mean, on all of them. It depends how much I want to, make the reverb to react to certain guitar parts. Just let me break down very quickly. I have the guitar bus. I think I'm going to start with this because basically in the guitar bus, I put my electric guitars, the rhythm guitars in it, these 4. And I don't have any processing on the individual tracks. Yeah, usually I do, but this time I was like, it's fine. I can do everything on the bus, which I did. So this is my EQ on the guitar bus. Pretty standard stuff. Cutting around 100 Hertz. A bit of a cleaning here and there. You can see the frequencies on the screen. I'm not going to repeat everything. And this is the kind of getting rid of the, the harshness of the guitar. A very gentle slope. It's like a 5 dB per octave. 6-ish. This one actually, let me talk about this one. So this, as you can see, it's side-chained frequency. So on this plugin, I'm sure you know what a dynamic EQ is. So with this EQ, it's a dynamic EQ as well. This is a dynamic section. And here, I trigger this band with my vocals. So whenever the vocal comes in, it's going to reduce the guitars. So when the vocal goes away, the guitar comes back, loud and proud. But when the vocal comes in, the singer is singing, I'm going to get the guitars around this 2 to 3K area. I just get the guitar away from the vocals. So it improves the clarity of the vocal without, adding extra gain. So you can keep the level consistent of your guitar as well, because you're not going to hear the difference, by the way, because the vocal is taking, care of that area. So you are going to hear the guitars and the vocal very clearly, both. And when the vocal stops, guitars come back and, just like nothing happened. So it's a cool trick to, trigger your guitars with your vocal around 2 to 3K. and it's going to clean up guitars and vocals both in one move. Pretty cool. All right, and after that, again, waves. Yes, waves again. And this time it's the Renaissance X. It's a compressor, and I think this compressor, if anything, this one is great on guitars. Seriously, I think it just designed for guitars. Doesn't matter what kind of guitar. Is it electric guitar? Is it crunch, heavily distorted, acoustic? This thing just works. And look at the UI is so simple. You have so minimal controls, and yet very effective. So I think Waves, like it or not, they have good plugins, in my opinion. Please don't hate me for that. Anyway, and that's it. That is the two things I have on guitars: a bit of an EQ and a bit of a compression. Nothing crazy. All right, solo. On the solo, I went pretty simple. I just, cut out everything below 500 hertz-ish, carved out something a bit above, just remove some, frequencies that kind of poking out, and lift up the highs a little bit, but at the same time, reduce the harshness. So this is the EQ curve I came up with for the solo stuff. And because we have another one, 2 solo sections. On this one, kind of similar, but maybe not that, drastic changes. You just have to listen to, and different guitars, different amp, they, require different EQ and different treatment. And also, I'm triggering the compressor as well, not just with the vocal. So whenever the solo comes in, just like as I explained with the vocals, it's going to reduce kind of the same frequencies as the vocal. So I kind of use it with the same, for the same reason, to make, the solo cut through the guitars, the rhythm guitars, way better, and just makes it, kind of more audible, more clear, So I'm not going to show you because it's the same idea as I just explained with the vocals. And of course, the FX, which means going to the reverb. So many things going to the reverb. Okay, on these guitars, all right. Let's solo out this one. I don't think so. We have playing right now. So let's jump into the session. This one. Okay. So on this one, this is the EQ I did. Again, I cannot really give you any specific, like, okay, you have a guitar kind of crunchy, kind of clean, then you have to boost this area, you have to cut this area. You have to listen. You just really, I know it sounds stupid that you use your ears, but I hated this phrase for ages, but it makes sense. Just listen. Does it sound good if I boost here? No. Then I'm not going to boost it there. Does it sound good if I cut there? Oh yeah. Then I keep it. So you just have to go up and down, find that. First of all, listen and try to understand that is the sound clean? Is it too scrappy? Is it just, piercing my ear? Or is it too muffled? Or is it too boomy? Or just try to identify if there is anything wrong with the source. If it's nothing is wrong and nothing sticks out like a sore thumb, just leave it. If you don't find anything, that bothers you, just stop looking for it. If it sounds good, you don't need to EQ. Just leave it. But here, this is what I did because this is what sounded good to me. And then, because just like the bass, it was very dynamic, jumping up and down. But I didn't want to clamp it down with an 1176. It's a really aggressive compressor. So I just wanted to kind of smooth this guitar sound out a little bit. So that's why I use this Basically, it's an LA2A-ish optical compressor. It's also a Plugin Alliance. By the way, I have this subscription bundle, and I love it. I'm not sponsored or anything. I don't think I ever will be, or it's not the goal. But seriously, I tried so many, companies, Waves, Slate Audio, what else? I recently tried this. What the hell it's called? This not Tone Hub, tone shit. It's basically you have one plugin, it's STL tones. You have one plugin with some presets from other engineer. I don't know. It's a gimmick. It's shit. I don't like it. Anyway, back to this. So I just put it on. As you can see, just moving when there is more energy introduced. It's just kind of smoothing the guitar out. And that's it, really. This is kind of the same thing here. Different EQ, different guitar, different cabinet, different frequencies. So I treated it differently, but with the same plugins. And by the way, if you pay attention, I kind of use the same plugins over and over. So I'm not really a fan of, introducing like 16 different channel strips and, 20 different compressors and what knows. I like to, reuse what I have, even if I have many others. But if I find that I like the sound of this, EQ, or I like the sound of this compressor, or I like how the saturation is working on this optical compressor, I just leave it and I keep using it on different tracks because it adds up. And it's not like, just introducing too many different flavors. It's like cooking. If you put a lot of, spices and stuff in there, it's not sure if it's going to, taste good. But if you just keep very basic, a few flavors, if you understand what I'm trying to say, it's kind of more consistent and then more, just better. It's my taste. Okay, anyway, so these are the guitars. To be honest, on the other ones, these are kind of scratch, whammy, whatever. I didn't even know what it is. So, ambient. These kind of background noises, kind of ear candies. What you can get if I just solo these out. Is there any? Oh, I took the EQ away. It's a bit darker. If I put the EQ back. It's a bit airier, a bit more uplifting. Anyway, and again, I'm just sending them to the same reverb. Everything is going to the same reverb. Vocals, whatever, everything. Okay, yeah. On this one, it's also guitar. It's just a light, what is it called? I think it's just some kind of crunchy sound, I believe. Oh yeah, this kind of light guitar. So on these ones, I use the same bass compressor what I used on the drum bass. All right. Okay. So what left? Oh yeah, vocals, of course. Vocals. So vocal. I used quite a few plugins on the vocals actually. I highly recommend this one if you have this, inconsistent vocals that very dynamic, going up and down and up and down, that kind of vocals. The vocal rider, again, Waves. I know, crazy Waves, but yeah, it just works. You throw it on the track, set the levels where you want the vocals to be, and that's it. Crazy. All right. And after that, so first of all, I broke down the vocals to two sections. There is a lead vocal, and there are doubled, or actually quad recorded harmonizing stuff. On the lead one, there is a vocal rider and a CLA vocal. I just put Start Me Up, and I kind of tweaked the settings from there. This is a really good plugin. Yes, waves, I know. Mind blowing. Yes, so I just tweak the settings, set the level, set the reverb, set the highs and lows for my likings. That's it. And the same idea goes with the double and quad recorded, kind of background style vocals. And on this one, I started with the background vocal, Start Me Up. Yeah, makes sense. And then just, again, setting the levels on the each individual frequencies and levels and things. So again, it's pretty simple to use. Put it on the vocal track and kind of listen how loud it is, set the levels, make sure it's not clipping, not distorting, obviously. It sits and fits into the mix very nicely, not overpowering, overshadowing any other instruments. Just, balance, always balancing things out. Okay, and then I put all my vocals, so the background-ish vocals and the lead vocals, I put it on this one, which is a vocal boss. And on that one, I kind of went a bit bananas. So again, same plugin, as I said, I just reuse the plugins. I don't add I used this plugin on guitars, but I need another optical compressor, so just let's open a different one. Why? Just use the same one. Just think about it. If you are in the studio, you have certain gears, right? You have an LA2A, you have some 1176. You're not going to introduce something else. You work what you have. It's not like, you have 6 racks of different optical compressors, right? You work what you have. You work with what you have, sorry. So again, I used this Neold U2A compressor. So this is the very first thing that goes on my bus, the vocal bus. It's kind of, smoothing out things. It's not clamping down heavily on, pikes and things. It just, this kind of this blanket smoothing to make it really, really, just kind of fluffy balance or something. I don't know how to explain these audio things, putting in words, it's weird. Anyway, so an optical compressor, these are the settings, you can see, if you want to copy. And then I'm going to send the signal after the optical into a 1176. Again, I use the same 1176 kind of ish compressor than I used on the bass. So I just reused plugins, as I said many, many times. And then it's going into this. I love this plugin, the Kazrock True Iron. This is kind of a saturation coloring box, and it just gives flavors and characters to whatever you put on. You can put it on drums, guitars, bass, vocals, synths, orchestra, whatever you have. It's always going to sound good for some reason. Then I put some EQ because I felt like it just, the vocal doesn't really sit in the mix as I want it. So I just cleaned up a little bit around 300 to 500 hertz, a bit of an extra bump around 150, 168, a low cut filter, and this one, it's around 8.5K. So again, it's a dynamic part of the plugin, as you can see. And this is working for me as a de-esser, basically. So whenever, there is some T's and S's and whatever, plausibles, coming in, it's kind of clamping down. You can see it's a quick attack, quick release, so it doesn't really, hold the vocals down for a long time. It's just catching the peaks with this, S's and T's. And after that, just to be sure that the singer is in tune, yes, a bit of a auto tune introduced, and not crazy stuff. Kind of just keeping in check, just in case. It's a good idea to make sure you are not getting into a bit of a weird sounding vocals. It kind of keeps the vocals in check. That's it. Again, yes, it's Waves. So that's it on the individual stuff, and let's move on the mix bus. So on the mix bus, surprise, a bus compressor. And yeah, surprise, the same bus compressor that I have used in this mix. Again, Brainworks, Townhouse, bus compressor, great sounding stuff. I'm not going to start talking again about this, but so these are the settings on the mix bus. So on the drum bus, I use the 2:1 ratio. On the mix bus, I use the 4:1, and just start playing with the threshold. And there is not a lot of high passing in sidechain filter. It just to slip a little bit through the kick drum and the low end bass, and that's it. And after that, yes, true iron again on the mix bus. And this preset, the master bus sheen, is just kisses to the chef. It's so good. I just if you don't use this plugin, please do it. I'll just give it a go. Try it. I think they have a demo. You can download it or something. I'm just look it up. I'm not sure, but I'm sure they have a demo. Yeah, it has to be. Anyway, try it. You are going to love it. It can be very subtle, and you can crank it to crazy territory. So whatever you want, this kind of distortion, saturation, coloring box is going to cover any needs you need ever. And then I've got this plugin. This is an interesting one because I don't feel like I need this plugin, yet I just keep using it. I don't know. I just open it and it makes everything sound better. It's kind of a real-time dynamic EQ, I think. It's kind of, I think it's called the Go Floss and Soothe. You put it in one plugin. I don't know. It just kind of keeping all the frequencies in check. Like if it's too much low end, okay, let's scoop it down. If there is not enough, let's push it. Same with the high, same with the mids. Just kind of, in real time, like listening to audio and reacting to this. So I just really love this plugin. It's called the Equalizer by Waves Factory. You can try it. Again, I don't feel it like I need it, but whenever I just put it on the mix bus, it just sounds good. So I just leave it there. And then another clipper. And just because, when you introduce some compression and saturation and stuff, basically you are gaining some more level, obviously, which means you need to deal with the peaks. So I use this clipper every time before I send the signal to the final limiter. So I make sure that after this, nothing crazy, high peaks getting through. So it's kind of a safety check for me before I put the final limiter on. So the final limiter, doesn't have to work that hard. So it's not going to be triggered with, this kind of, rogue pokes from the snare and kick most of the time. So again, it just keeping the level steady and nice and even. And here we are. So this was my pre-mix bus, as you can see, and sending everything to the main stuff, the main mix bus. Starting with an EQ, because again, as I said, if you introduce some compression and saturation and stuff, it's going to change your frequency shape, obviously. So in this, at the mix bus, you can kind of have your final controls of all over the mix. Everything that coming together, you can control with one EQ. So what I did here, just very minimal, like half a dB, around, I don't know, 800 hertz, and the same with around 1.5K. Just those frequencies was a bit too much for my taste. So I just, again, half a dB, maybe just in my brain, it's not even audible, I don't know. When I was, switching on and off, it felt better and cleaner when I engaged them and when I cut these frequencies a little bit. And here, this is a high-pass filter, around 90 hertz, but this one is only on the side. So in this EQ, you can split the signal to mid-side. So basically, you can treat the mid frequency, the mid part of the mix, completely separated and from the side. So what I did here, from the side part of the mix, I just removed the low end, which gives more clarity to my mix, because these low frequencies are not coming from, like cymbals and guitars and stuff, everything that is not in the middle. Those frequencies, it just cleans up the mid stage. So it gives more, kind of just I don't know how to describe it. It just cleans up the mix. That's the most accurate explanation. It just cleans up your mix if you take away around 90 to 100 hertz from the side. So only from the side. It just cleans up the middle, like a kick drum, bass, and it's your side information is not interfering with the mid. That's the whole idea. Nothing else on this EQ. And then this one. This is kind of a new kid on the block, especially in my mix bus chain. But quite frankly, I think it's going to be a staple part of it, because it just gives you so much juicy, nice flavor. It's not just an EQ; it's an EQ on steroids. I mean, it does everything what you need. You can cut, you can boost different frequencies with different amounts. And this one, the peak level, actually, it's a really nice one. It's kind of a saturation and compression and limiting in one knob. But it does it in a very, I don't know, musical and elegant way. So I just love this plugin. Again, it's from Plugin Alliance. If you want to try this one, I would highly encourage you to download the demo. They have a 14 days demo, so you can use it for 2 weeks to see if it works for you. I think it will. First, I have to tell you that first I didn't really like the plugin because I didn't understand what it was doing. It just felt weird. Sometimes I didn't hear anything. Then I started tweaking and it was too much. And so, yeah, I just spent some time with it. And I think you are going to love it. This is a great plugin. I really like it. And after that, here we go, the final plugin on my chain. Just ignore this real stream. It's just going to the OBS. So you can hear the audio. So yes, we have the Ozone. But this is just the limiter section. I don't use Ozone. I don't master the mix with this. I just use the limiter from the Ozone because I think this limiter is the best, or at least one of the best limiters on the market. Period. There's different modes. It's just actually I'm a huge fan of this IRC2. I don't know why. I just love it. And with this new feature, it's Ozone 10. They introduce kind of soft clipping, which I think is really cool. So I just put some soft clipping. I set the ceiling to -1. If you want to, upload your stuff on online, like social media, YouTube, or Spotify, or whatever, just keep it down, so it's not going to distort or clip when they convert your audio file into MP3 or whatever they do with your audio. So yeah, I just set the setting. It's quite a loud mix. I mean, it's peak. The LUFS is, I think it's around -9 LUFS or something. So yeah, and that's the last plugin. Okay, so I'm going to, at the end of the video, after I finish the yapping, I'm just going to play the raw multitracks for you, so you can hear how it sounds, the raw mix without any editing, just as you open it. And then I'm going to add the mixed version of the song, so you can go back and forth on different sections of the song, and you can hear what the changes are and how I got to there. So whenever you say, oh, I really like how the vocals sound on this section, and you can come back to this video when I was explaining that what plugins I used, so you can kind of follow, and it gives you more kind of better understanding how actually got the sound what I try to explain with words. So that's the reason I'm going to leave the unprocessed and the mixed version of the song. And don't forget, the link for the multitracks is going to be down below, so you can download them for free of charge, and you can mix the song by yourself. All right, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new, and see you guys in the next video. Take care.
When the fire burns out and my hands feel numb, shows a sense of space and time. We're all still young. We level out the silence. It's not as hard as it sounds. A picture perfect family. Your doubt is never around. Doubt is never around. burnt out and my hands feel numb. Kills a sense of space and time. We're all still young. We level out the silence. It's not as hard as it sounds. A picture perfect family. Your doubt is never around. Your doubt is never around. Change your pace, or change this face, or change this place. Water runs dry, and I see your face. Your burns cover the smirk I once thought was so out of place. I mask the smell of smoke. I cover up my ears to only hear my breathing. I wanna hear my breathing. Change your pace, or change this face, or change this place. You never change, yeah, you just stay the same. Never change, yeah, you just stay. You never change, 'cause you never try. That's alright.